If the only prayer you ever say in your entire life is thank you, it will be enough. When you work for someone else, you have the right only to labor, not to the fruits of your labor. At some point, you will realize no one else has a say in your life unless you let them. The blind man is a poor guide until it gets dark. If you look for the light, you will often find it. But if you look for the dark, it is all you will ever see. You might be the sweetest peach on the tree, but some people just don't like peaches. We have two lives, and the second begins when we realize we only have one. Hope for the best, plan for the worst. The bee doesn't waste its time trying to convince the fly that honey is better than shit. A salary is the drug they give you to forget your dreams. One day, or day one, you decide. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Nothing in life that is worth having comes easy. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. The past is just a story we tell ourselves. Every person alive hits a crossroads in life when you have to let go of the past and forge ahead into something new. The only sad thing would be clinging to the past once it's out of reach. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. In order to empathize with someone's experience, you must be willing to believe them as they see it, and not how you imagine their experience to be. Never wrestle with a pig. You both will get dirty, but the pig likes it. Honesty without kindness is brutality. Kindness without honesty is manipulation. Every journey begins with the first step. Better 50% now than 100% never. Just because you know how it's done doesn't mean it's not magic. It's possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness. That is life. You're going to make a lot of people mad doing what's right for you. You can't cross the ocean until you lose sight of the shore. Resentment is like taking poison and waiting for the other person to die. Someone once told me the meaning of hell. On your last day on the earth, the person you became will meet the person you could have become. It's easy to fool someone. It's hard to convince them that they've been fooled. Any thought you have about the future is a delusion. It is not a lack of time. It is a lack of priority. What would you do if you weren't afraid? No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. What God doesn't give to you, you have to go and get for yourself. Success is not the title you have or how much money you make. If your relationships with friends and family are healthy and thriving, that is a success. There are two paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. There are two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. No one raindrop thinks it causes the flood. I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. It's no use wasting time worrying what other people think about you. No one is thinking about you. You train people how to treat you, unconsciously or not. To realize that you are not your thoughts is when you begin to awaken spiritually. The world is a tragedy to those who feel, but a comedy to those who think. You are either part of the problem or part of the solution. Fairy tales are more than true, not because they tell us that dragons exist, but because they tell us that dragons can be beaten. Never attribute to malice that which can be adequately explained by stupidity. Don't die until you're done. The days are long, the years are short. Heard this after I had my first kid. Couldn't be more true. The reason you want to be better than someone else is the reason why you aren't. Embrace stress as the opposite of apathy. If you stopped seeing the world in terms of what you like and what you dislike, and saw things for what they truly are in themselves, you would find a great deal more peace in your life. If you treat an individual as he is, he will remain how he is. But if you treat him as if he were what he ought to be and could be, he will become what he ought to be and could be. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around, you could miss it. Everything outside of this moment is just imagination. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice. There's no point in being grown up if you can't act a little childish sometimes. Socializing is just like any skill. You need to practice before you're good at it. Never go to the past. Not for happiness, not for justification, not for excuses. The world is what it is. You are what you are. We are all the bad guy in someone's story. The only person who's ever gonna remember your hard work is you. Not this company, not your boss, only you. It's not worth killing yourself over a company that'll replace you in 2 days if you're gone. Graveyard is full of people who used to think that the world could not run without them. People don't forget. Nothing gets forgiven. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who was actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood. It's not your fault. Things are the way they are. Things are only impossible until they are not. Just because you got away with a bad decision doesn't make it a good decision. If you're going to apologize, you don't say, but, after. Either you mean it or you don't. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. The people who mind don't matter, and the people who matter don't mind. Keep breaking your heart until it opens. Remember when you wanted what you currently have. There are more things likely to frighten us than to crush us. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Anger is an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured. No expectations, no disappointments. Be the person you needed when you were younger. When you do things right, people won't be sure you've done anything at all. In 3 words, I can sum up everything I've learned about life. It goes on. If you are unhappy, you are doing something wrong. This too shall pass. Here for a good time, not a long time. Feelings are not facts. Be not afraid of moving slowly. Be only afraid of standing still. Sometimes a hypocrite is nothing more than a man in the process of changing. Someone's opinion of you doesn't have to become your reality. The things you own end up owning you. Speak your mind, even if your voice shakes. The only time you should look into someone else's bowl is to make sure they have enough. Given the choice between being right and being kind, choose kind. No matter how many times I may stumble, I will rise each time a better man. The most important step a man can take is the next one. It's always the next one. Experience, don't expect. Experience life. Do not carry expectations on how it should be. It never gets easy, but it gets easier. Fake love is mighty convincing in a world where real love is mighty rare. If you need music on the beach, You're missing the point. We live longer when we are too busy living. Sometimes which choice you make is not as important as making a choice and committing to it. Life is 10% what happens to us and 90% how we react to it. I guess it comes down to a simple choice. Really. Get busy living or get busy dying. We are our choices. Whoever fights can lose. Whoever doesn't fight has already lost. A denied expectation hurts more than a denied hope, while a fulfilled hope makes us happier than a fulfilled expectation. The point of the argument is not to defeat each other, but to understand each other.